Hello, welcome back to BDB and to a Pan Those Eyeshadows update. Now, Pan Those Eyeshadows is a really common project, it seems, in the project panning community, so you've likely already seen some of these videos, know the basic idea. You randomly select eyeshadows from within your collection to hit some goal on. For me, the goal is either to hit pan or to hit 10 uses. That is down from 30, which I did for the first so many months, I think like 8 months of this project. That 30 worked really well at first, but as I got a little bit more busy and as I started adding some more projects in, 30 was just too many. So we've moved down to 10, and I actually have a few products up to 10 uses this month, so they will be rolling out. But I think we're going to start with the less exciting portion of this update and the products that aren't anywhere close to 10. The one that I've been doing the worst job on is the one that I probably thought would be the easiest to get a bunch of use on. This is a peach from the NYX Ultimate Utopia palette. I rolled this in last month and I have used it twice. Why? I have no idea. It's such an easy, neutral shade. I've clearly used it a lot in the past. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but there's quite a dip going on in that pan. But for some reason, the last month, I just wasn't interested in using it. It's such an easy transition shade. It's really pretty. Don't know why I haven't been using it. If you had asked me which shade was going to be the hardest to use, I probably would have said this gray. This is again from the same NYX palette. In this project, my random number generator loves to choose shades from this palette. I don't know why. But I had really not used this a whole lot before this project began. I have used it 5 times in the past month though, which I think is great. So I still have 5 uses to go, but I'm wearing it today. The way I've been enjoying using this is just using it right along the upper lash line to give a little bit of a smoky, smudged liner look. I find it works really, really well for that, and I think it is really pretty. I am surprised by just how much I like this shade. It also has quite a bit of purple to it, I've been realizing, which is just not something that I'd realized about the shade previously. So that's always fun with these projects, is you really do get to know certain products quite a bit better. The other 4 shades that are in this project are all now in single pans. This was not to start with. This is from the Wet n Wild Rosé in the Air palette, which is the Modern Renaissance dupe from Wet n Wild, or at least was the Modern Renaissance dupe. I don't know that they still sell this, but I actually had quite a bit of pan in that shade originally, so I'm just going to try to get up to 10 uses on this. Currently, I am at 5, and it is, again, it's a really pretty shade. I just have this color, or like minor variations on this color, like 4 or 5 times over in my collection. And one of them I'm trying to pan this year, so I feel like I used a similar shade quite often, but this one didn't get quite as much attention as it probably should have, even though this type of shade is definitely one of my favorites to use pretty much year round. It makes a very easy flattering crease color or transition color for me. The remaining 3 eyeshadows I actually get to roll out. One of them is because I hit pan. This is an orange from Wet n Wild. I really didn't use this a whole lot. I think I used this 3 times. I have that written down. Yeah, I used it 3 times in order to hit this little pan in it. I think there actually might have been just a speck of pan when I started, but you know what? I've hit my goal. I didn't realize there was pan. I tended to use this as a transition color. I had some oranges and some yellows and just really vibrant, warm-toned shades in my Shop My Stash this month, so I found myself using this in conjunction with those a few times, and really that's all it took. It is a pretty shade. It's not One that I'm absolutely wild about though, I don't think this is one that I'm going to be thinking about a week from now. Next up we have another shade from actually the same Wet n Wild palette. Both of the past two shades were from the 32 pan palette from Wet n Wild. Mine has long since been depotted and the individual pans repressed into singles. This is, I keep saying it's a blood orange shade, and when I'm editing, every time I just think it's red. Just call it red, but we're just gonna keep with it and continue to call it blood orange. It's pretty. It is a really nice level of color where this doesn't look totally neutral on the eyes, but it's not colorful either. I think that most people could get away with wearing this to work or school or wherever you need to go during the day or during the week. And I think that it really brought out my eye color really nicely. This sort of reddish orange really did a good job of making my blue or green something in that area eyes pop, and it's super, super pretty. I don't know that I had used this more than once or twice before I rolled it into this project, so I found not quite a new favorite, but a definite new like, and that's great. That's exactly what I'm hoping to achieve. And then the last item that I get to roll out is actually a highlighter. This is one of the Mega Glow highlighters from Wet n Wild. It is not a highlighter on me, so I just took it out of its original packaging, which was in a quad of highlighters, and pressed it into an eyeshadow pan. It is a really nice formula. It looks really pretty on the eye. It's just, this is a color that is so neutral that I don't think to reach for a single of it. I think this would probably get better use if I incorporated it into like a Shop My Stash palette and, you know, chose some items that would go really well with it. On its own, it's just not something that I really think to use. But I did like the way my makeup turned out every time I did a look that really prominently featured this shade. So with 3 goals hit this month, we get to roll in 3 new shades. I spent quite a while this morning putting together an Excel spreadsheet of not all the eyeshadows in my collection, but all the eyeshadows that I would be interested in rolling in this project. It works out to 92 shades. I included on this list everything that's in a palette, as well as the individual singles that I've actually purchased or received as point perks and things. What I haven't included are shades that I've taken from palettes and just repressed into pans. Those palettes were pretty much universally very well used before I repressed them. So I feel like I've kind of gotten a decent amount of use of most of those shades. The one exception would be my Wet n Wild 32 pan palette, which I think I've rolled in like half the shades in that palette into this project already. So I figured we could leave that off the list as well. So there are 92 shades in front of me. I'm going to bring up a random number generator and we will see what we get. So min 1, max 92. I get number 12, number 35, and number 58. 12, 35, and 58. 12 will be the first shade in my e.l.f. 70s palette. Shade 35 will be the second to last shade in my Profusion Emeralds palette. And shade 58 will be the first shade in the Kiko Taupes palette. So let me go grab those and we can look at the color story I'll be working with for the month. It was more of an expedition to find these than it really should have been, but the first shade that I'll be working on is for my e.l.f. 70s feels, and it is this shimmery peach shade. I really like this palette. I think it's absolutely beautiful. These are definitely the types of colors that I am drawn towards in a variety of different areas. Actually, one day I was putting away my clothes and I realized that in order. This was just sitting out on my bed, which is where I was also folding my clothes, and I realized I have a shirt that's exactly this shade, exactly this shade, exactly this shade, and exactly this shade, just in my laundry pile for the week. So definitely a type of shade I enjoy, and the formula on these is actually quite nice too. I think that these two will go together really well. So excited to work with that a little bit. Next up was the second to last shade in the Profusion Emeralds palette, which is Meadow. I feel like I've been using this quite a bit already, which is awesome because I don't exactly have a whole lot of experience with teal eyeshadow, but this is such a nicely performing shade. It's a pretty color. I mean, again, talking about colors that I clearly like in other areas. Very pretty, and it's so smooth. Very nice. I'm excited to play around with that. And again, with the peach, that would be a really stunning contrast, as well as with the matte peach, of course. And then finally, we have the first shade in the Kiko Taupes palette, which we're going to work from top to bottom, exactly the opposite of what I just said. And that will be this shimmery shade. I did not think to grab glitter glue to show this to you, but on its own, this is more of a glitter topper than anything. It's very sheer. It's just sort of a rosy glitter, not opaque at all. However, with glitter glue, this can be built up to a really nice level of color, or I could just use it as a glitter topper. That is also a definite possibility. So here's what I'm working with for the month. I think that I can do some damage with these. These are not necessarily the shades that I would think to go for every day, but I think I can go some interesting places with them. I feel like this outro is taking way too long. The short version is, I hope you liked the video. Please consider liking and subscribing, and I really hope that I will see you next time. Bye!